Hey guys, how are you doing on this fantastic day? I want to give a little, 5-minute insight into what I think could happen in 2026 for the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. And that is, we could see 50% easily, maybe even more. I want to show you the charts that I think looks really good, and we have some levels where if we cross above that, then we are definitely in a really good seat for 2026 and even into 2027, not gonna lie. So as always, you can find me on the Substack uselink INV, where I do the technical analysis for different gold and silver stocks, platinum stocks, oil stocks. I think oil could also be really good in 2026. So join me there, and take advantage really of this commodity bull market that we have in front of us for the next five years or so. Also follow me on Twitter. That's where I do also a lot of posts during the day. Good uranium. Okay, cool. So the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, it goes back 20 long years, and me personally started to buy uranium stocks in various forms in 2020, the late 2020, and it has basically gone up ever since. Of course, not in a direct path, but when once we started to really become interested, the U.UN was roughly, let's call it like $10, and now we're sitting at 27, and we had a peak at 37. So you're talking at least 3x since the lows, since the long calls were made in 2020, if not 4x actually for the spot price. So I want you to look at the blue uptrend, which was our guide for a very, very long period of time. You can see that we have one lower, very precise, then we have like a rail to define the upper of this uptrend here. And you can even see here we started to peak out after a massive run that was really darn strong, and then we started to bull flag all the way down, and we also during that move we broke our long-term uptrend, which was not ideal, right? And also me personally, I thought that hey, we are gonna pause somewhere around the blue here, then we're gonna go higher. Clearly that wasn't the case. So we broke down from that, and we actually lost, once we really started to break down, we lost 20% to the lows. And you can see the lows here, which was made in April 2025. You can see the alignment over there into this kind of support, the breakout here from these levels. And we did a revisit to that, and now we're up from like 18 to basically 28. So we're up, roughly 50% since then. So clearly still this is consolidation in my view, very, very clearly. And you can see also now, you can see volume is kicking in here for the past few weeks. Really good to see as well. So to me, if we are to take the bull flags here, we can see we had like an internal flag here until it broke. It broke down here, and then we started to move up again, and you can actually see the distance here between the original bull flag and then the outer layers. It's actually identical. That's why we have this bit of a rail bull flag, or like a bull flag with some lines just outside the original flag. We came down, deep back test, and now we rally again, right? And what is interesting here to me now is the fact you can see the level here. That is roughly 28, right? That is important, and I will come back to that in just a moment here. Originally, we also had a little bit of a inverted head and shoulder here, where we set at north of 26. That would be a long, right? And we had a move. We came way back down, and then we started to move again. And it was actually not until we hit that high that I'm like, hey, I'm totally blind, because this is actually the main head and shoulder pattern. And we started to say on the Substack, if we get a move down here, ideally a right shoulder that is higher than the left, that is a part of a bigger head and shoulder. So not only do you have this little internal stuff going on here, you actually have a bigger head and shoulder pattern sitting right there. And with the 30 weekly moving average pushing up here, once we clear 28.29, that to me is the big go for the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. And also that would imply that the spot price for uranium is going to go up tremendously. And you can see here, this area here, that is 2026 basically. And we could break that very soon. And also when we break the neckline, you can see it right across there. You're also getting back into the uptrend again, which by the way, we have been tested. Let's call it almost 2 times already, at least once, right? But almost 2. So if we can cross back in and clear the neckline and get back into the uptrend, that to me is a very, very bullish statement for the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. And where could that take us in 2026? We just simply take the head from the head and shoulder, measure that to the upside, and we're getting a 55% move. At least that measured move takes us to 44, well into the uptrend again. And I wouldn't be surprised if this goes higher, like overperformance, and we could go into the red and even challenge the upper rail here of the uptrend. Because typically what you get if you have a false breakdown is that you go all the way to the other side of that formation in which you had a false breakdown from. So therefore the measured move, which will trigger roughly 28.29, takes us to 44, 55% move. However, if we get overperformance, I wouldn't be surprised to see the red get hit at 85%, and maybe even a complete overperformance into 2026. As you can see here, we could, depending on when we hit the rail, of course, if we hit it in June, we're getting that 111. If we hit it later, it will be 140. So I think it is not a long shot to call that if we get the right conditions and start to break here, getting above 28.29, the neckline is broken, we're back into the uptrend, that we could actually trigger that 100% move in 2026, if not even more if we are lucky. So that is my outlook for 2026, if and when we can break that lovely, almost I will say textbook head and shoulder, and that is your neckline, right? 28.29, and of course we will get into the 30s when we get in, before we're getting into the uptrend. So yeah, that is the view for uranium. And during that period, it is my view that the miners is going to outperform. And I have been showing that chart many times on the Substack why that is. It has basically been our guide ratio to uranium for the past 1.5 years. So we will be in for a period, if I'm correct, that the spot price could go up with 55 to 100% in 2026. But during that period, miners, the URA, is going to outperform that by over 100%. So whatever the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust is doing, it seems like we're in for a period, a very sharp rising period of URA to do double of that, whatever the U.UN is doing. So again, if you want to see that ratio, come and join to the Substack. I've made, again, many videos onto why that is the case and why this setup that we see in that ratio is a textbook Vikov accumulation phase, a 10-year one indeed as well. So that is all I have. Remember, 28, 29, maybe 30, but again the neckline sits at 28 and we get back into the uptrend at 30. So once we get above those levels, everything has triggered for a move up in my book, and it's gonna be fun. Have a great day, guys, and if you like the content and all that, let me know. Yeah, cheers guys, bye.